දවස් 30ක්ම unlimited Netflix බලන්න. unlimited data pack එකක් මුළු පවුලටම unlimited fun එකක් අරගන්න. අදම active කරගන්න.
ලෙන්ගතුකම වැඩි කරගන්න ලව්ජු රුපියල් 50ට අඩු කළා.
මාමේ එන්න අපිට එකක් බොමු.
Tonight, mini lockdown. 3 areas in Matugama and 4 villages in Kuliapitia isolated. Relief for Gampaha. The 5,000 rupee allowance is a return in the Gampaha district. It's still good. Army Commander insists the COVID crackdown strategy remains proactive.
We have a little bit of an idea as to who will get COVID next also when you do the contact tracing. So we have been successful in that.
Sticking point. The former IGP insists that he is not the only person accountable over failure to prevent these two attacks and continues to point the finger at the SIS. All that and much more coming up on First at 9, this Sunday the 18th of October 2020.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9.
Nava sunlight sakura, then dikukal pavathina sakura mal suandin.
Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to First at 9. I'm Dhamake Kanaka. Now let's start off by taking a look at what is dominating the country and the globe, in fact, the coronavirus situation. Now, 7 new areas were isolated today and late last evening owing to the spread of COVID-19. They, however, are not within the Gampaha district. During the course of the day today, 61 fresh new infections were confirmed, sending the island's overall number of cases emanating from the Minuangoda garment factory cluster closer to 2,100.
61 new infections were added to the Minuangoda COVID-19 cluster today, increasing the overall number of infections linked to the cluster to 2,077. Meanwhile, with the detection of 33 new infections attached to the Katunayaka Free Trade Zone, the number of infected people emerging from the subcluster there rose to 213. With that, the total number of COVID-19 infections reported in the country at present is 5,536. Out of which 3,403 have fully recovered, leaving 2,120 persons under treatment. Also, a nurse employed at the Hydramani garment factory in Kahaturua has been infected with the virus, and the diagnosis has been confirmed by 3 PCR tests. According to health sources, she had attended a wedding ceremony in Diulapitia on the 3rd of this month. To date, about 350 of her first line of associates residing in Kirivatturua are identified. Meanwhile, the husband of an employee at a prominent garment factory in Nittambur tested positive for the virus today. The factory worker tested for COVID-19 yesterday. Health officials say that being a resident of Hewahata, he had visited various locations in the area of Hanguranketa over the past 5 days. He had then been to the area of Rajangane where he underwent a PCR test, which later returned positive. Accordingly, biosamples of his associates were taken for PCR testing today. Elsewhere, Ovitigala, Badugama and Badugama Navajanapadaya in the Matugama Divisional Secretariat were declared as isolated areas today following the detection of 17 fresh cases. Among the infected are a chief incumbent of a temple, 4 novice monks and 12 others. They had gone on a pilgrimage to Anuradhapura on the 7th of this month on a bus operating the route of Colombo to Matugama. The owner of the said bus had tested positive for the virus. The bus conductor and the driver too were confirmed as COVID-19 patients recently. 3 teams consisting of public health inspectors are deployed to locate nearly 150 first-line contacts of the 17 infected persons. In addition, another bus conductor who had close contacts with the infected driver and conductor of the Matugama bus has also tested positive for the virus. He is a resident from the area of Valavatta in Agalavatta. In the meantime, driver of a bus operating the Colombo-Matugama route tested positive for COVID-19 and he is identified to be linked to the previously infected Matugama bus owner. Elsewhere in Matugama, an examination invigilator of a prominent school has contracted the coronavirus. However, the Commissioner General of Examinations said that the staff who supervised the exam with her were sent for quarantine. He further stated that a new team of invigilators will take over duties at the examination centre tomorrow. Meanwhile, among the fresh cases in Negombo, a clothing store owner and his wife have contracted COVID-19, with infection confirmed today. As per health officials, the wedding ceremony of their son had been conducted on Saturday the 3rd in the area of Diulapitia. A group of people who attended the wedding is scheduled to undergo the PCR test tomorrow. In the meantime, a woman residing in Morotumulla who is believed to have attended the same wedding ceremony was diagnosed with the virus on the 14th of this month, and all the area residents who attended the event with her were subjected to self-quarantine. PCR tests were later conducted on her close contacts, with a 27-year-old youth returning positive results. In a separate development, movement was restricted in 4 villages of Kuliapitir following the detection of 11 infections. Accordingly, restrictions have been imposed on the villages of Gayyala, Urupitir, Annarua and Pallevela with no entry or exit. The group of infected persons had attended a wedding ceremony held at a church in Kuliapitir on the 2nd of this month, and the groom is also among the infected. Meanwhile, 2 other employees of the NDB branch located along the Marine Drive in Colombo are also infected with the virus. They are working in the credit division of the relevant bank and are residents of Aravula and Pelenvatta in Piliandala. Their mothers too have tested positive for the virus. Measures were also taken by the health authorities to temporarily shut the houses, jewellery stores and a grocery store they had frequented. Also among the new COVID-19 detections is a person residing in Gonatu of Gampola who had engaged in construction work at a temple in Veyangoda on the 3rd of this month. 3 novice monks of the temple are also among the previously infected persons. According to the Health Ministry, about 30 families of his close contacts were placed under quarantine. In more developments, the number of infections emerging from the Colombo dockyard has risen to 5. With that being the case, the first line of contacts of the infected people underwent PCR tests today.
Since COVID cases started reporting in the month of October, so far we have 11 cases within the city of Colombo. 4 from one particular location and another 5 from another location, and 2 individual cases scattered in 2 places. Yesterday we got 1 case from the dockyard, and of course we came here to do random sampling of all the people who have been considered as the first contacts of that particular patient. We have done some samples from the patient that have been reported the day before yesterday. As a result of those PCR samples, we were able to find another 3 more cases from the same shop. So we are trying to find out whether there are any other infected patients who have come into contact with this particular patient. We have taken all the precautionary measures, and we are acting very fast to do PCR testing and find out if there are any more patients and to contain the disease spreading from this particular index case here.
What's more, a resident of Jaila who came to receive treatment from the Colombo National Hospital has also been diagnosed with the virus. Accordingly, admission of patients to wards 35, 69 and 3 of the National Hospital has now been restricted.
Safeguard hand sanitizer. Navatama nishpadana pela neerokimat diviyakata.
Now, Commander of the Army Lieutenant General Shavindra Silva says that a well-set strategy has immensely contributed to the success story behind Sri Lanka's response to the contagious virus, particularly in predicting those most likely to be susceptible to the virus during the contact tracing process. Responding to media, the commander reassured that the island nation will be able to control the new wave of infections emanating from the latest COVID-19 cluster.
Is there any new special plans to handle this new situation?
No, we are anyway running with a strategy from the day that we have found the first patient in Sri Lanka. That is why we managed to contain the situation within about 50 days. During the first stage. We will find some more in the future too. We can't predict how many people that we will find. But we, the forces, the health sector, along with the intelligence, we have been going behind to trace and track whom we feel that who will get even coming days. Not only the people we are going behind, the people who have got COVID or the families, but we have a little bit of an idea as to who will get COVID next also when you do the contact tracing. So we have been successful in that. Yesterday when we felt that we had a list of people, out of that about 35% of the people got COVID. What's confirmed? We are very proactive in our strategy. We'll try to contain this situation, and at the earliest we'll try to eradicate COVID it from Sri Lanka.
Seems like almost at the community level.
Yeah, no one can predict this. That's why I said that whether it's a community transition or whether it's within a cluster, we believe that we will be able to contain. But all depends on the people. Any strategy can be brought in front of the society, but it is the man in front of COVID, how they behave will give us where we stand as far as COVID-19 is concerned.
So then now more and more people coming into the quarantine. So how you plan to handle?
Not more and more people coming. Those who deserve, those who are supposed to go for quarantine are being brought for quarantine. Yeah, of course there are criticism also. One of these days, very soon, we will show those who have criticized the truth of everything. Sri Lanka military is very professional.
All quarantine centers are run by health staff of the security forces. Why aren't government not using that government doctors to it?
We would have loved to have them, but they have not only COVID in the country, we have to use them for other normal day-to-day health requirements. So therefore, that is why we are doing it. If somebody is willing, more than happy.
Now, with the onset of the latest outbreak, certain areas in the Gampaha district was locked down. As a measure of relief to the families in those areas, especially those who have lost income owing to the curfew, the government decided to pay 5,000 rupee allowance to them. To this end, 400 million rupees was allocated today.
The government has decided to grant an allowance of 5,000 rupees to all persons who have lost their means of income in the Gampaha district due to the curfew that has been in effect in some areas of the district. A sum of 400 million rupees has been allocated for the program. Accordingly, 72,345 families residing in 193 Grama Niladhari divisions of the Gampaha district will be entitled for the allowance.
ගරු අග්‍රාමාත්‍යතුමත් අතිගරු ජනාධිපතිතුමත් මුදල් අමාත්‍යාංශය හරහා මිලියන 400ක මුදලක් අද වෙනකොට දිසාපතිතුමාට ලබා දීලා තියෙනවා. ඒ මිලියන 400ක මුදල මිනුවන්ගොඩ ග්‍රාම නිලධාරී වසම් 81ක්, ඒ වගේම දිවුලපිටිය ග්‍රාම සේවසම් 59ක්, වේයන්ගොඩ ග්‍රාම නිලධාරී වසම් 33ක්, මීරිගම ග්‍රාම නිලධාරී වසම් 20ක්, ඇතුළු ග්‍රාම නිලධාරී වසම් 193ක පවුල් 72000ක් ජනතාවට රුපියල් 5000 ගානේ මිලියන 400 මුදල ඉදිරි සතියේ තුල ලබා දෙන්නට දිසාපතිතුමා ප්‍රමුඛ ප්‍රාදේශීය ලේකම්වරු ඇතුළු රාජ්‍ය නිලධාරීන් සූදානම්ෙන් ඉන්නවා. ඊළඟට දෙවනි අධියර යටතේ පවුල් 2,10,000ක් ඉන්නවා මේ සහන ආධාරය ලබා දෙන්න. ඒ සඳහා මිලියන 1035ක් මුදලක් වැය වෙනවා. 8 වෙනිදා රාත්‍රී නිරෝධායන ඇඳිරි නීතිය ක්‍රියාත්මක කර ප්‍රදේශවලට තමයි මේ මුදල් ලබා දිය යුත්තේ. අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා ඉදිරි කාලය තුල දෙවනි අධියර යටතේ මේ මිලියන 1035ක පවුල් 2,10,000ක් ඉන්න ජනතාවටත් ඒ සහනය ලබා දෙන්න ඉදිරියේදී කටයුතු කරයි කියලා.
In the meantime, a meeting was held at the Gampaha District Secretariat yesterday under the patronage of Minister Prasanna Ranatunga to brief the officials on how the relevant allowances should be dispersed.
ඒක නිරෝධානය වෙන පවුල් වලට විතරයි. අනිකුත් දීමන සාමාන්‍ය විදියට කෙරෙන අතර පිරිවෙන් ළමා නිවාසවලටත් වැඩිහිටි නිවාසවලටත් වේලි ආහාර මල්ල ඒ අදාළ ප්‍රාදේශීය ලේකම්වරු කරා ලබා දෙන්න තමයි අපි කටයුතු කරන්නේ. අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා ඊට අමතරව විහාරස්ථාන වලට මොකද දාන ආගමික ස්ථාන වලටත් වේලි ආහාර මල්ල ලබා දෙන්න.
Meanwhile, Minister of Health Pavitra Vanniyarachi states that action will be taken to pay the arrears and overtime allowances of the officials engaged in the health services as soon as possible. In other developments, an operation was conducted today in the Gampaha district to identify persons who violate the curfew regulations and the health and safety protocols. Meanwhile, the Puttalam police issued warnings to persons who were not wearing face masks. The Health Promotion Bureau in the meantime introduced the hotline 1999 for the public to make queries related to COVID-19. The service will be available in all 3 languages around the clock.
We will see you once more on the other side of this break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching First at 9. Now, the line further investigations are being conducted, included in the intelligence document given by the SIS chief on the day before the Easter Sunday attacks, continues to be a sticking point for former Inspector General of Police Pujit Jayasundara. Testifying before the Presidential Commission probing the spate of terror, the former IGP said that irrespective of how comprehensive the information was, the mere mention that further investigations are being conducted left the intel far from being verified. He also said that there are various mysteries behind the failure to prevent the attacks and that he is not the only person accountable over the tragedy. Former Inspector General of Police Pujit Jayasundara testified before the Presidential Commission of Inquiry probing the Easter Sunday terror attacks for the 11th day yesterday. During the proceedings, the state's Additional Solicitor General brought the former IGP's attention to a document containing intelligence information sent to him by the State Intelligence Service the day before the attack. The Additional Solicitor General asked Jayasundara, quote, "Doesn't this document sent by Director of the State Intelligence Service, Nilantha Jayawardena, the day before the attack, contain detailed information on Zahran Hashim and his associates?" Unquote. The response from the former IGP was, quote, "Yes, I accept. This document contains more detailed information about the terrorists than any other document sent by the State Intelligence Service earlier with intelligence information, including information on Zahran and his brothers Rilwan and Zain. This document contains clear information on the Sadiq and Shahid brothers who were involved in the Lord Buddha statue vandalism in Mavanella, as well as on the Dematagoda Ibrahim brothers who blew themselves up at the Cinnamon Grand and Shangri-La hotels. This came to my attention as a very special document." Then the Additional Solicitor General asked the witness what action was taken on it if it came to his attention as a special intelligence document. Former IGP Pujit Jayasundara replied, quote, "Irrespective of how comprehensive the information was, this document sent in the evening of the 20th clearly says that further investigations are being conducted on the reported intelligence." Unquote. The Additional Solicitor General then said, quote, "Didn't Nilantha Jayawardena call and tell you in the evening that there will be an attack either tomorrow or before that after sending this intelligence document in the afternoon on the 20th? To that, former IGP Pujit Jayasundara replied, quote, "Yes, he did call me. What he said then was tomorrow will be dangerous. Anything can happen. I asked him whether this is a piece of information received by him or whether it is from the same foreign intelligence agency which gave the earlier notification. He said that it was sent by the previous foreign intelligence. I then asked what he thought of it. He said that this is a development sent by the foreign intelligence. That means by that time the State Intelligence Service did not have their own information to confirm this information. That's why I asked Nilantha to tell Nandana and that I too will look into it." Unquote. The Additional Solicitor General then put to the witness that the Easter Sunday terror attacks happened due to a weakness of the Sri Lanka police. The former IGP responded, quote, "True. I have a responsibility as the country's IGP when this incident happened. I haven't said at any point that I don't know about any of this. I will never say that, but I'm not the only person with accountability. I do not accept it that this happened owing to a weakness of the police. Officers performed their duty amid great hardships faced by the police. There were many mysterious reasons behind the failure to prevent the attack. How people who supported turned the other way, how continuing investigations were turned, the prevalent political environment, receiving foreign money and turning off informants. There are many similar secretive and ultra-secretive reasons. There are some which are yet to be revealed. When I get a chance at the end of my testimony, I will reveal them. Why weren't we given information formally?
Why was it that the IGP was expelled from the Security Council on infantile reasons? It wasn't even the second most senior officer of police that was convened to the Security Council after me. Besides, he had been given instructions in secrecy not to divulge what was discussed to me. So how can I be informed? Look into these things." Unquote. In the meantime, 4 associates of the 4 suspects, who had close links with the Ibrahim brothers who attacked the Shangri-La and Cinnamon Grand hotels, were produced before the Halsdorf Magistrates Court today. They were produced by the Organised Crime Branch of the Colombo Crime Division after investigations were conducted, with the 4 suspects in custody for 18 months under detention orders. One of the suspects had taken the initiative in making 21 bombs, and it is also revealed that he had acted as a member of the EPDP for 10 years. Subsequent to considering the facts, the magistrate ordered to remand the 4 suspects until the 23rd of October.
In other local stories, the officer in charge of the Pugoda police has been suspended. Now, it relates to an incident of a suspect under the custody of the Pugoda police passing away after hospitalization. A 21-year-old youth arrested in connection to a robbery was reported dead upon admittance to the Ragama Teaching Hospital over a sudden illness. An investigation was launched into the incident under the Senior Superintendent of Police in charge of the Colombo Equestrian Division. Police media spokesperson DIG Ajit Rohana said that 8 persons, including a police sergeant, have been arrested in connection with the incident. He added that police will not hesitate to take action if any police officers are found to have acted outside the due protocol. We will see you shortly. Stay with us. Welcome back. This is First at 9. Now, the Department of Census and Statistics say that it would not release second quarter gross domestic product data until December, pending discussions with international consultants on the methods of estimating the output value of certain industry and services activities. A statement by the department read that while it is obvious that many economic activities were crippled during that time, there have been instances where some other economic activities have taken place in a different way than usual. Some economic activities were also encouraged by COVID-19. In this context, it is imperative to discuss with international consultants the methods of estimating the output value of certain industry and services activities. It was also decided to collect data on some of the above economic activities from other sources. The statement added that the department has decided to publish the estimates along with the GDP estimates for the third quarter of 2020 on the 15th of December, as it will take a considerable amount of time for that work and to ensure the accuracy of the estimates that will be published. Positive market sentiment is expected to continue in the week ahead, following expectations on the positive outcome through the monetary policy announcement. Now, last Friday, Sri Lankan stocks gained 0.44%, pushed by gains in LOLC Holdings, Distilleries and City Holdings. Now, let's take a look at what we can expect in the Colombo Bourse during the week ahead.
Looking at the upcoming week, we feel that the market sentiment will continue to remain positive on expectation of a positive outcome from the monetary policy announcement. The monetary policy announcement is expected on the 22nd of October, and most investors assume that there could be a rate cut coming ahead, and with that there is some sort of positive sentiment that is built on the equity market as well. There's a significant benefit for the banking sector and related companies if there is going to be a further reduction in interest rates. With this, we think this sentiment will also be relevant for the investors in the upcoming week, and we feel that the positive sentiment is likely to continue in a big way in the coming week as well. Retailers are likely to continue to dominate the market, as we have seen over the last couple of months as well. So over the period, we have seen a higher level of retail investors entering the market, and then now currently there is a significant dominance of the retail investors in the market, and currently we feel that this positive sentiment is likely to continue with this retail outlook. Foreign selling is likely to continue in the upcoming week as well. There's unlikely to be any major change in that trend. However, all the foreign selling is likely to be absorbed by the local buying interest that is there in the market.
A group of Japanese researchers have discovered that the COVID-19 virus can last around 9 hours on the human skin. A silver lining in addition to this discovery is the find that the virus can be destroyed within 15 seconds by the use of alcohol-based disinfectants. In the meantime, China's Center for Disease Control and Prevention confirmed the detection of the novel coronavirus on the outer packaging of frozen food, and that coming into contact with contaminated packaging can lead to infection.
The Chinese Center for Disease Control and Prevention confirmed the detection of living novel coronavirus on the outer packaging of imported frozen cod in the eastern coastal city of Qingdao. The finding was made during an investigation that was conducted to trace the source of recent infections reported from the city. The China CDC announced on its website that it has proved that contact with packaging contaminated by living novel coronavirus could lead to infection. It is the first time in the world that living novel coronavirus has been isolated from the outer packaging of cold chain food. In the meantime, a team of researchers from Japan discovered that the new coronavirus can survive on the surface of human skin for around 9 hours. The researchers also found that if the virus is exposed to alcohol-based disinfectant or ethanol of the same concentration, the virus is deactivated within 15 seconds. As a result, members of the public have been urged to thoroughly wash their hands or use alcohol-based disinfectants.
And that's it from all of us here at First at 9. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.